Revolution is beginning, but the days will soon ascend. They want us to think we're sinning, cause we don't move and breathe like them. The ground we walk is hollow, filled with bones and tears and sorrow. Not a disciple we do not follow. We are here to heal the men. Earth's been healed for millions of years. They killed it in 200, bask in blood and feed on fear. Holding new gods we must summon. They saw that we were many, so they created these binaries and killed the visionaries. We do not break, we only bend. My body is my body. My body.
Hey, you guys. Thanks for tuning in and up with us. I'm Sunray.
Bass.
Honey.
Brother Marcus.
And this is Get the Point. Okay, this is season 1, episode 2, and tonight we would be discussing reparations. Okay. All right, you guys. So, what is reparations? Can anybody want to tell us what reparations is, or what your ideation of reparation is? Your idea, or
reparation. A payment of time, effort or money to undo past transgression. The act of renewing, restoring, etc., or the state of being renewed or repaired. Reparation synonym.
All right. So basically, reparations is a system of redress for what we would consider injustices to a society of people. In America, with the African American community, reparations has been spoken upon for several years without it being a real, I guess, measurable goal for us, because we have not seen that across a wide spread thing in our population. However, there have been instances here lately where we are seeing where reparations are taking place in certain places like Evansville, Illinois, and then other places here recently. Barbados has even sanctioned where they are requesting reparations from the Crown in regards to people who enslaved the population there. Mr. Shabazz, what do you think about reparations? What's your take on it?
The only realistic one that I have seen, the only realistic instance of reparations that I've seen, and successful instance that I've seen of reparations, was the people, the British Crown, and the Maui people, where they, the Queen Elizabeth, before she died, this was years ago too, she had actually, that was the only law that she ever signed into being part of their legislature in person, and she apologized to them in person, and they gave them, I think the first settlement was for, oh man, don't get me lying, but like I want to say like 70 or 80 something, or no, 100. I'm sorry, $130 million, and they gave them a certain amount of land back, and they also said that they could buy back specific lands from the Crown. So, and they also reinstituted their native language back into the school system. So that's the only one that I've seen that was measured. You know, I mean, it's I don't think it was a good one, because I mean they only got like $100-some million. I mean they took a whole country, so
Yeah.
so it's not good, but it's a start and it's not bad.
Right.
So I don't know. That's the only one that comes to mind when I think of reparations that was successful in my eyes anyway, and measured.
So you don't think that it's really realistic? Is that your take? Is that what you're saying?
When it comes to the United States government, no, I don't think it's realistic, because the United States government, in essence, stole this entire country. This was not their land. This was not their place. They weren't from over here, And so, no, I don't think that them opening the door to having to give back land to Native Americans, having to give land back to whoever or money to whoever is a realistic goal. But that's not to say that it's not a fight worth fighting for or trying to make progress with. I'm not saying don't try. I'm not saying don't do it or go through the motions. I just don't think that the United States government is at a point in their lifetime or timeline that they're ready to actually say, we're sorry and let's try to make this right. Because historically, the United States government doesn't try and make anything right.
Miss
There you
Honey, you
have
have
True indeed.
Mr. Marcus, you have any input, Miss Honey?
Um,
Hey, Mark.
reparations is exactly that. Reparations is making something right that was wrong by you. So if I'm to give reparations to um, somebody that I might have uh, stolen property from back in the day, and I face charges in the court. When you go to court and you get guilty of damaging property or stealing something from somebody, and you have to pay restitution, that's court ordering that you pay reparations to your victim. It goes back to what Brother Shabazz is saying. The people that victimize this country are quick to jump up and say, I victimized this country. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe we should make right what we made wrong. They would have to give up everything that puts them in power. When it comes to just reparations for Black folks, we kind of look at it as just reparations for Black folks, but Black folks is a big umbrella and a big blanketed statement. And coming into 2023, where we're at now, not everybody who's Black at this point in time is part of the diaspora,
Well,
right? You know, or anything. And then when we layer on top of that, right? If they had land, whose land was it before it was their land? It's like the land that was given to Black people during Jim Crow times was taken from another people.
but that land was. You learn
You
so
know what I mean?
much.
So, yeah.
So the 40 acres and a mule theory, I call it a theory because it really was not really realistic. Yes, some people were awarded land, but after when Andrew Johnson became president, he enacted the Field Order 15. And in essence, what the Field Order 15 did, it took the land back and gave it back to the plantation owners. So that's a part of history that they leave out and that we know nothing about. But a lot of the plantation owners were re-given that land back. They took it back. So that's why sharecropping became a big thing, because a lot of the Black people that were freed as slaves had to in turn go back and work the land because they didn't know anything else. But I didn't even know that until I started researching this topic, that the land, a lot of that land that was awarded to Black people was in fact taken back again and given back to the plantation owner once the change of presidency took place. So it's a lot of stuff that we look at, I guess, and when Mr. Shabazz said he didn't see any examples, and there are no federal examples of reparations, but there are examples that are taking place in different states. Like I said, Evanston, Illinois, it was the first U.S. city to create and do a reparations plan. The state of California has enacted the first coalition or task team that's dedicated to working on doing reparations in the state of California. Harvard University created the first Legacy of Slavery Fund, and that allows their students to explore the university's connections to slavery and explore how we can do reparations across the board. And so what I want to ask this question right here is, do you think it should be more of a state level thing, since that's the way it looks like it's going, versus federal for the reparations? Because it looks like it's more of a state thing, like with Evanston, Illinois. That's their town that's doing that. The town chose to develop this program and go back into the community, but they're doing it in a certain way by rebuilding the community and the homes. So do you think that that's something that should be looked into? Maybe we should stop relying on the federal government and bring it down to the state level?
Go, honey. You look like you was trying to say something, sis.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, for real. We want to know.
Yeah.
Um, well, we have all done our research on this, and I am definitely pro reparations. Okay. According to the Brookings Institute, white America, their wealth is 10 times that of the average African American family, right? And according to the studies, in 1860, over $3 billion was was a worth of wealth was created on the backs of our ancestors. Okay, so now I understand that reparations is not a band-aid to a gunshot wound. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's unrealistic for us to get our 40 acres and a mule today. But at the end of the day, just like the Jews and the Japanese people, we deserve some compensation for our struggle, especially because our struggle went on for over 400 years when a lot of their struggle was only, was I'm not downplaying anyone's struggle, but I don't know of a race, a religion, a creed, a culture that has endured over 400 years of oppression.
Absolutely. Hey, and just to uh, touch on what you had said with the Jewish people, those reparations that the Jewish people got, the United States government actually didn't pay them that. That
Okay.
was stuff that had been stolen from them, and they gave them some of it back. So they didn't even pay that, but they did pay the Japanese, though. They did. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Brother Shabazz. Because I definitely did know
We
that. But
all,
at the end of the
we
day,
all.
everyone has got compensation but us. And one of my client, one of their family members got the reparations, $25,000 in medicine. And the thought was nice. The just the fact that they even considered, the situation and called it reparations was enough for me. But at the end of the day, it was not enough for those people, and it was only a select few that got chosen. And you got $25,000, and it had to be for some type of renovation for your particular property, or to help you purchase another property in another in another area.
You know what? I noticed that too, sis, that you bringing it up that there were stipulations attached to the money
Yes,
that they gave them people.
yes.
Because in all the research that I've been doing, there have been so many stipulations. Now, the one in California's son Ray was talking about, right?
Hmm.
They had said I had noticed that they kept on saying that they wanted people to be able to prove that they
Yes,
were that they were ancestors. Let me
yes,
ask you
direct
this,
lineage.
right? Listen, it's a lot of people nowadays that can't even get a birth certificate, let alone all that way back. They did not have birth certificates.
My
Those
mother
people
was
were
born in
told.
1955, brother. She died with no birth certificate.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, realistically, the way that they're trying to do it is like it's almost like a red herring. It's like they want you to think that this is actually what they're trying to do, but in reality, they're not trying to do any of that. Because let's face it, when a black woman back then had a baby, the babies would be sold and not necessarily with the mother. And the father would be sold and not necessarily with the mother or the babies. So how are they going to be able to prove that all these people are going to be able to prove and find these records of these people that have been gone for, let's say, 150, 200 years?
And each time they were sold, their last name changed. Don't forget
Right,
that part.
right, right.
Right.
Each
Yeah,
time you're
yeah.
sold, your name changes.
That's true. But where there's a will, there's a way. And Shabazz, I wanted to say Google the Marshall Plan because America did, in fact, give Jews reparations for the Holocaust. We did. We didn't give them a lot. They did get some from Germany, but we
Right.
did. We did give them. We did give. We've given to. We gave 1.5 to World War descendants from the Japs. The Native Americans have land. They get grants. They have benefits in place for them, and then the martial laws. And so it goes back to things like if you see over time, we still this color of our skin is blackballed even now, and people don't even realize it because if you think about it, didn't we just give asylum? Wasn't that to the Iranians? Was it no Afghanistan? Was it Afghanistan that we went over
Yeah,
there and gave?
Afghanistan.
Okay, so we
Yep.
gave asylum to those people, and then we gave asylum. We give asylum to the Mexicans that are crossing the borders, the ones that are getting over there, still getting asylum and shipped off over to the United States. So then I think about when the Haitians came over, and they rounded them all up with whips and horses, and put them on the first flight out of the country. Every last one of them. No asylum. The country's poor. They're dying.
Right.
But it goes to show the disparity, the disparages that we face no matter what. No matter
Yeah.
what, it's gonna be there. So it's not to say that we can't get it. It's just the fact that skin wise, we aren't getting it. We aren't getting it. And that those are examples of that. There's a in Rhode Island. They're actually have been approved. They've actually been approved for 10 million for reparations. But the stipulation is the fact that it's up under the American Rescue Plan Act, so anybody's available for it. It's not just like black people. Anybody can, if they live in Rhode Island and they have been affected by the infrastructure and the economy and the poor background, they can claim reparation into it. So it's not an inclusive thing. So it's happening, but it's just how they're going about it. It's and then like you guys said, Miss Honey said, how we're going about figuring out who can get the funds, and now they're wanting to include other people, make it an all inclusive thing. So
So 1,000 pardons. So now, if it's all inclusive, is it reparations? Really reparations for us?
no.
No.
Right.
That's not no.
Right.
Exactly. It's not. And that's what I was saying. It's like it's taking a turn. They wanna show that they're doing something, but they don't wanna just make it to where it's just basically a singular thing, even though it has been instances where it has just been for singular populations of people that have been affected with injustice. But I like the fact that the case is coming up with the guy that played on 12 Years a Slave, Benedict Cumberbatch. He's one of the guys that's being potentially is going to be sued in Barbados for reparations because his family owned the plantation. Plantation in Barbados, and
Really?
they can trace their lineage all the way back. And he says that the reason why he did the movie 12 Years a Slave was as apologizing and bringing light to slavery because of his family's history. And he said that his mother told him not to do it because she was afraid that this would happen, that people would try to sue them for reparations for it because they can trace their lineage back to having and owning slaves.
Wow. That's a new one. Hey, whatever it is, it's good. I mean, I don't necessarily think that it would be because I mean, if that's the case, then wouldn't black folks be suing Chase Bank? Because that was how they got their money to start all their businesses. Chase was slave owners. They were one of the main shareholders that were stakeholders.
Well, the whole country is suing. They're actually suing because the one of the guys that sits on Parliament in British in Britain, he actually owns the Drax plantation, which is he is I guess one of the last or the last plantation in Barbados. And they can trace their lineage back to slavery, so that's why they're suing because he sits on Parliament. He's a Parliament member, so that's what they're basing their case on. So, I guess.
Okay. I would be more interested in trying to get the money from a government, the governments that sanction all of this to be okay in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to a person.
Person.
But I mean, if that's the avenue that they're going to go, then so be it. But I would kind of like want the British government or the
Well, I think
United
they're doing it
States
as a
government.
collective whole. I think they're doing it as a collective whole.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's
But
like a whole.
it's sparking a lot of interest. The fact that it's happening, I saw a lot of articles are being written, and now I even saw one article that a lady said that that is dangerous for if they do award the reparations, that is dangerous. So they're already starting to put out the message that if if widespread spread reparations are to take place, then it could be disastrous to the economy and things like that. So they already spread the fear because you control people through fear first, first. So
Right, right.
yeah.
Okay, we have a comment from a guest, you guys. They said reparations for who? The so-called blacks? Why won't y'all all follow and support what's going on in California? In California's first in the nation's task force on reparations voted to restrict who would be eligible for reparations to African American descendants of enslaved people's descendants. Hopefully, y'all know it's bigger than a name, a term that was given, and by them names, they still have to pay us back for stealing our true identity.
Right. Well, we talked about that earlier. The legislation in California is proposing. Well, they haven't done it yet, so they're still trying to figure out what they're going to do. And so part of what they were planning on or saying that they wanted to do was this: what we and you was talking about. They wanted to trace it back to the people, and then you said that they change names every time they get sold, and so it just that's going to be hard to do. So it's like Ray said, it's going to be something next to impossible for these people to pull off. And then so who gets the money? Nobody gets the money because they don't have enough evidence to support their claim.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I agree.
Um, let's see here.
And it says now slave owners receive reparations at the end of the Civil War for the slaves they lost.
Yeah, yeah, they did.
So,
The government gave them money because they were mad because they got their slaves taken away. Yeah.
yeah, and then and like I say, when Johnson came in, he gave a lot of that land back. And a lot of it was tricked out of black people that were wanting to migrate. They sold land for less than prices back to plantation owners because they just were tired of the life and wanted to get out of it. Um, but that's just the way things happen. Um, but what ways would we like to see the reparations take place? Like what if we were awarded reparations, what are the best ways for us to utilize funding? We did talk about financial. What are the ways that you guys think that we can utilize reparations to the best of our community, to forward our community better and make our community better as a whole? What are the things that we need to see being done for us that are lacking?
Before individual payments are, I believe we need to be we need funding, right? The African American community, we need financial funding. But before like with the PPP and all those things, before you give an individual a check, I believe that each individual that qualifies for the money, the funding, should take a financial literacy course prior to receiving the money because we do not want what we just witnessed. Okay.
That's a good suggestion, sis.
Think about those people got, I know people who got like $70,000 in 12 calendar months. And right now today, they homeless.
Yeah.
You understand? Homeless. How do you get $70,000 in homeless? See, I'm a big old chicken, right? I have real businesses. So when I apply for the PPP, because I don't have 99 employees, because I ain't finna lie. I got less than $5,000. I was okay with that because I told the truth. But
Right.
I ain't gonna front now, y'all. I wish I had a lie.
I know.
If I'd have known, no, for real, if
I
I'd have known we was
know.
gonna get forgiveness for this shit, I'd have
Go, sis.
lied too.
Hey, look, but
Hey, I'm with you
seriously,
on that
Marcus,
one. I'm with you on
you
right.
you started a business not too long ago. You said you confided in us, and I'll put it out there for the world that you started back up your radio station. So technically, you're a business owner. So as a business owner, I know you, and Honey is a business owner. So between you two, what do you think that they should be doing with the money? Because I know what I think, but I want to hear what you guys have to say about you know what should be stipulated and what should they be doing before they put like cash money checks in people's hands.
I think that we need, me personally, we need, like Honey said, financial literacy first of all for everybody that's
Yeah.
involved with it. Because money, you can break $100, it's gone. It's gone, and
Right.
people
Yes.
money get money burn their
Financial
hand.
literacy is
And
so
then
important.
yeah,
And
and
you
then
know what?
after that, I think we need our education system vamped up. We need to get our teachers back. We need to get good teaching back.
But I don't think our reparations money should pay for no teachers, baby. See,
Not teaching, but the infrastructure. We got to reprogram our infrastructure. It's not
okay,
it's not where it needs to be.
I think this is a good answer to this. Reparations don't only just mean a check. The
Yeah,
thing that
it
they didn't
doesn't.
do when they so-called freed us as slaves is if we was property, just like your dog is property. So imagine you got your dog and your dog's chained up on your porch, and then all of a sudden the law says, okay, you got to free your dogs. So you go outside and you take the chain and the collar off your dog and you say, okay, go now, you're free, and you go walk back in the house and you don't do nothing else for your dog. Your dog might take off running. Your dog might hang around and keep begging for food. That's what we did back then. So reparations, it's not just a check. If they truly wanted to free us as slaves and make us American and bring us into this country, they would have integrated us into the system to show us how to function as business and landowners, how to build schools and the infrastructure of society, industry, agriculture, and all that. And you could give people a check without that knowledge, and that's not reparations. That's just giving somebody a check to give
And I
a.
said we had that.
okay. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, brother Marcus, because I only went to African American schools from kindergarten to fourth grade. After that, it was all white. I was always a minority. They don't teach financial literacy to the white people either. That's
Any public school.
They
that
don't.
hold on. That stuff is taught at the dining room table.
Yeah,
Because as the token nigga, because I've been a token nigga for a long time, baby. I done been at some white people tables. No, I'm serious. Where I was, I was because here's the thing. I'll be 50 years old this year, right?
Right.
They started segregation in the South, but I was one of the first African Americans to be bussed outside of my community to a school, and that was based on your grades. Okay, so I was very smart at a young age, and by the time I left fourth grade, I was up on the other side of town. I was getting bused to schools, and them white people was out there with signs saying "nigger, go home." I was not prepared as a 10-year-old child to see some adult white people with some signs outside my school saying "nigger, go home."
Where you went to school at, sis?
I went to Bobian Elementary School, 5025 North Laramie, Jefferson Park, Illinois. Yes.
Jefferson Park?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Niggas
Wow.
with gas specs would pay out of the dark on the KKK. That's the shit that was on the viaduct when I rode to school every day on my bus.
I know where it's at because it's a mosque over there in Jefferson Park. It's a mosque over there.
So what I'm saying to y'all is this: the white people see, we gotta quit the education starts at home. Education starts at home. We cannot keep passing the buck saying, oh, they need to teach this. If they ain't teaching it to their kids.
But we got to understand that right now it's generational right now. we got to break it right now because
Okay, but then
we messed up right
we
now.
still can't pass the
So
buck. We still have to accept responsibility
we gotta
where
accept it,
we
but
are.
this is accepting it. This is acknowledging it, accepting it, and then putting a plan in place to correct it. Because if we keep saying, well, the parents right now don't know enough, that's what we acknowledging. That it's a break in it's a gap in somewhere in our community to where we are scattered. We can't even come together to get things done. So we got to re-educate ourselves at some point. At one point in time, it was communities scattered all over the United States that was black all the way around, and they were thriving communities. They were burning them down, killing everybody in them because of it, out of jealousy because of it. But we existed. Now our communities are so broken down. We're gonna have to learn. We gonna have to relearn how to do the community thing to get our communities back where we functioning on a smooth
And
slate.
that's all I'm saying, sister. We
Yeah.
cannot rely on the educational system to teach our children what other children are being taught at home. So all I'm saying to you is before we give a check out for reparations, which I do agree that we all need a check, I think that each individual head of the household needs to take a financial literacy course so that they can carry the torch and pass it on to the next generation. That's all I'm saying, that we cannot rely on the school system to teach our children what those other people are teaching their children at home. That's
But
all.
but I don't think that it just goes into that. I think reparations comes to a lot of things. We even need reparations in healthcare. Like we have disparities in healthcare. Like right now, like we are like underserved all the way across the board. So we need like even with our healthcare system, we need them to put more into us as far as our healthcare is concerned. Um, uh, Housing, homeless population, mental illness in our community. We can have reparations on so many levels. That's what I'm talking about. But it just it starts somewhere, and
See,
I
to
just think
me,
that
those things aren't reparations. Those things are that's a systematic. There's a break in the system because just like the black people, we we have a disparity in our mental health community. The Caucasians do too, because here in Chicago they closed down Hartgrove, they closed down Tinley Park. You know what I'm saying? And those things, it's not a cultural thing. It's just above the board with mental health. You
But
Okay.
understand what I'm
if
Mm.
we said that we couldn't, or it would be hard for us to find out who is eligible for the reparations, wouldn't it make sense for us to come up with another plan on how we can use it to further our community? If we can't figure out who's eligible or who's right for getting the money, we have to find another way to put into our community. So why not look at those type of things?
Right.
Well, I don't agree with that as far as reparations. Go ahead, Shabazz.
I was gonna say is when it comes to the reparations thing, like we was talking about, not all reparations, I believe, should include. There's obviously should be a check. Don't get me wrong, but there should be other things that should be included with this, quote unquote check,
Yeah.
which would be, in my opinion, if you go into the black community and you see that they have businesses. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that most, if not all, of the businesses in the black communities are going to be mamas and pops. They don't have the big clout. They're not making as much money as these other conglomerate corporations. So obviously, that would be part of it too. You would go into the black neighborhoods and you would find the mom and pops and you would help them with maybe business loans to improve whatever, depending. And that would also go with the financial literacy so that they can maybe make better decisions as far as like advertisement is concerned, you know, uh, getting different things in order so that they can be not just breaking even or making a little bit of money, but actually succeeding and thriving. And then the school thing, I heard what sis was saying, and she's right because the school that I went to was pretty much 50-50. You know what I mean? It was half black, half white, and there was only little maybe five Mexicans in there, including myself. And so um you're right. They don't teach financial literacy to the white kids or the black kids or the Hispanics. But that's because these are the public school systems, and the public school systems in the United States are set up for us not to be financially literate, but to be consumers.
Yeah.
They want us to spend our money because the United States is the biggest consumer in the world. We buy the most of everything in the world. We buy the most food. We buy the most electronics. We buy the most everything. So it's not going to set us up. Normal public school systems don't set us up to be financially literate. Those would be the schools that set you up to be financially literate, which would be the schools that are private schools. So even if we would want them to come into the neighborhoods and make, like you said, the infrastructure and the teachers and everything better. And that would have to be part of the curriculum. The financial literacy would have to, in fact, become part of the curriculum, because it would be based on not a public, the old public school system, but on a new system, which would be more tapered and drawn towards, a private school. So yeah, I think that the school should be,
Because if
fixed
a
too.
parent does not know financial literacy, they can't be expected to teach it to their kids. They can't
Right,
forward something
Give what you don't
that
have.
they don't have.
right.
So that's why I
Yeah.
said re-educating us, because it's just not there, and we seeing it because we see stuff go down through generations, and it's not getting any better. It's kind of getting worse. So there needs to be a break and a stop, and say, hey, something needs to be readdressed here. Let's look at it in another way. So yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it'll just be a matter of whoever shows up to go get that resource and education to make a change in their own family to contribute to the community. Not everybody's going to show up to get what they have to work for, sadly.
Right, but this would be in black communities, so they wouldn't have to go over different and get bused. Like Sis said, she got good grades, so she got bused to a different school. They wouldn't have to do that. That would be their community. That would be in their community.
They'll
So
have access to
you're
it.
right. Whoever's going to go to school, going to go to school. But at the end of the day, at least it would be the school down the street around the corner, not the one they got to catch a bus six different municipalities away to get to. Because Jefferson Park is like the last. That's the last. That's the last piece of the city before it turns north.
And I live
After that, it's not the city no more. Chicago.
and I live 1000 north. And I
Right.
was going to 5000 north. I lived 1000 north on Laramie. I was going to 5000 north. I went 40 blocks every single day.
Damn.
You
That's crazy.
understand?
Hey, look, I used to work over there,
Yeah.
sis, and
Yeah.
I used to feel that racism over there that you were talking
Oh
about.
man.
But you know what? I never knew that it was that ingrained in them. They used to look at me funny a little bit, like, man, this is a Mexican dude hopping off the train, walking through our neighborhood. But I never really paid attention to it until you just told me what you told me. I
And
had
see,
no idea.
for me, I caught a good break. I was very smart. So
I had no idea.
I got invited to people's houses all the time because they couldn't understand how I was outdoing their children.
Mhm.
They couldn't understand. So they wanted to meet me. You understand what I'm saying? So I've sat at tables with people that I know hated black people.
I know.
You know what I'm
understand
saying?
totally.
And they was very nice and very condescending to a 10-year-old girl, a 12-year-old child. You understand what I'm saying? I was never mistreated by the people who invited me into their homes. But I do understand why I was invited there and the information that they were seeking. You understand? And it's a blessing that, and because it was during the 80s, and it's a blessing that because crack and everything had consumed the West Side so hard, it was a blessing for me that my mother was not a drug addict. She worked in corporate America. She worked in Fortune 500 companies. So that way, when they invited me over to dinner and they thought that they was finna entertain a welfare recipient child, they got a child whose mother worked at J.P. Morgan. You understand? Because before it became Chase, it was J.P. Morgan.
Right.
And before it became J.P. Morgan, it was something else. And my mother worked there. You understand what I'm saying? So we went through the changes with them.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that to say, you know what I'm saying, girl, I'm a needle in a haystack. But at the end of the day, the prejudice, the preconceived notions were already there before I walked in the room.
Hmm.
There's a question in the
And they
chat.
Yep.
and they still will be. It's they
Yeah.
still will be right now. They still are.
Yes.
It's still here. It's
Yes.
still a culture. It's an underlying culture for that in America,
Yes. Yes, it
and
is.
it's gonna
Yes,
be
it
there
is.
as long as people have
But I'm gonna
you
say
know.
this: they talked about that at dinner. Like when them people ate dinner, they talked. They. I was 10 years old, and they was talking to kids about college and you know what I'm saying, their savings and their trust funds and their different things of that nature. You understand what I'm saying?
Because
So
they
I
have
would.
but we also have to understand that these people have had generational wealth. So their parents talk to them. A lot of black people haven't even been afforded wealth. So
That's what I'm
where's the
saying.
talk
Yes.
from? They have no knowledge of it.
We
You
can't
know,
give you what we don't have. I
right.
understand that, but that's all I'm saying is before they give up, I believe that we need reparations. But before any type of financial compensation is distributed to anyone,
Yeah,
myself
we gotta
included,
have it.
there has to be a financial literacy course because I learned some things along the way, and I'm still learning. A person blessed me with some information yesterday. Well, no, not yesterday. It was Thursday that blew me back, and it's the more things so now it's some things that I have to do this week. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Me
Because
too.
of the information that I received. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
still learning, but at the end of the day, like I'm still sticking to my stance as African Americans. We deserve reparations, and before anyone gets a check, we need a financial literacy course.
Right. Okay. So, you got anything else you want to say, Marcus?
There's a question in the chat. I'm not exactly sure how to pull it up, but it's a question in the chat from the plus.
No,
There it is.
I got to pull it up right now. It
There
says,
it is.
so do you all believe that with the proper leadership and financial literacy that this will help people? And what else do y'all believe need to be done to correct it? And I was going to actually come back to this as well. Uh, I believe that is exactly the formula that's needed. And the only other thing that needs to be done is, like I said earlier, uh, people and the right ones among us need to show up in order to put that knowledge into action. Because we can't be given what our parents don't have. My parents were 15 and 16 when I was born. What kind of generational wealth did they have? Right? You know what I mean? And that's a reality for a lot of us, and some of us with our own children at this point in the game. So the resources to be made available and the right ones for us to show up and get those resources and bring it back to our homes and our community. Because a check, bottom line in simple terms, if we're all just giving money, then all we're going to do is stimulate the economy.
So you're
You
saying
know,
that it,
It's not
yeah.
going to help the community.
So you're saying that a big part of that is the leadership. Then you think that a big part of
exactly.
that is the leadership. Okay.
Definitely.
Um, an article on bookings dot education gave some good points for reparations, and it cited in addition to the individual payments for the descendants of enslaved Black Americans, we could do college tuition for descendants of Black Americans. We can do student loan forgiveness for descendants. We can do down payment grants and housing revitalization grants for descendants. Business grants, like Shabazz said, small mom and pop businesses, startups for businesses, business expansion. Um, so those are just some of the things that we could do in addition to the check to help strengthen the community. Um,
Definitely. And then, like he said, like the brother said, I don't know if it was Marcus or Shabazz, but infuse some of that money into the Black businesses. Because I'm gonna tell you, right? You go in, you go in Caucasian neighborhoods, you got three, four, five, six banks within a 6 block radius, right? When I go on 162nd Street, I got Chase, U.S. Bank, Bank of America. There's another bank right there. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, and it's like 2 blocks. It ain't even a quarter of a mile, right? But I go on North Avenue in Cicero. There's one bank all the way to you. It's all the way Cicero. all the way till you get to Austin, there's only one bank.
Right, right.
Go on
It is all by
87th,
itself.
yeah, you go on 87th Street, it's the same thing. There's one bank.
Yeah, no, I know.
So
The
these
stereotype in our
people are
community.
taking their money and leaving the community.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we need financial literacy so bad, because I'm a bargain hunter too. I want the best deal I can get to, right? But sometimes sometimes we have to understand that we have to support one another. And only way that that's going to come is if we have some financial literacy. Because you guys, we've all been sitting here talking, but ain't none of us tapped on the Willie Lynch letter. Okay, see, we are all programmed. Our grandparents, they are programmed, and we have been recycling this BS for years. And some of us have been doing it unknowingly. You understand what I'm saying? And just like what Sunray said, at some point we have to break the cycle. And like Brother Marcus said, our leaders need to step up. If you have some information that can help your brother or sister, give them the information. Don't charge them. Give it to them.
Right.
Come on, give it to them.
Absolutely.
All right. Anybody got anything else they want to input?
Um, I mean, that pretty much covers it.
It covers it. I feel like it's a doable thing. Um, I'm excited to see where it's going to go for Barbados. I think if they can pull it off, it'll set an example, but it's going to be a long draw for them. Um, like I said, it is something that's taking place across the United States. It's in different hit spots, hit and miss spots. But we see it's on the East Coast now. It's on the West Coast. It's in the Midwest. Um, I have yet to see anything about the southern areas or the north. I guess the north.
The city of
Doing anything.
Chicago's mayoral candidate, Willie Wilson, has been a proponent of reparations for over 7 years.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So, and he's a
So that give us
multimillionaire, and
more
he's been
thing.
working really hard for us to get our reparations.
Okay. And so yeah, Illinois has one. Y'all have Evanston. So I feel like it's doable. I think if they can. I don't think that we explored. I don't think the federal government's gonna own up to anything. I think it's gonna always be from a state level. The federal government is not gonna admit that they just not gonna do it for us.
They not. They
They
not
don't even
going.
want to admit the
They
stuff
not
that's right in
going.
front of our faces right now. So
No,
it's not
no,
it's not happening.
no. The
Better.
writing on the wall, y'all. Y'all know it.
For real.
Yes,
Y'all know
indeed.
it. But here's the thing, though, right? In each one of our individual states, we need to get active in supporting the politicians that are for reparations. We need to stand behind these people. We need to do our due diligence and find out who they are and support them. It needs to be done.
Well, I'm in
We need to
Mississippi.
support
We're gonna
them.
be the last. We're gonna be the
So
last.
y'all, look, we gotta get some water. Yeah,
We're gonna be the
right,
last, baby. Giving out
right.
anything. If we ever get anything in
We
Mississippi,
just want y'all to get some water. We need y'all
yes,
infrastructure right. We need
yes, we
everybody
Right.
don't
to
do a
get some
damn
fresh
about
water
it.
out there. We ain't gonna
Right.
worry about reparations
We
in this
got
city
six.
right
We
now.
got two
Y'all
out of
need some
six
water.
votes to get the money. We got two out of
Yes.
six. They don't care about them poor people eating white folks'
Okay,
Oh
food.
man.
Lord, why,
Get
why?
them people some
It's
water,
bad.
honey. Where the water
Yeah,
at?
pray for us because it's
Right.
rampant. Jeez, man. I'm glad that y'all are aware that it's going on, though. At least it's
Yes,
coverage. That means it's getting out there. Somebody sees our pain, sees
yes,
the struggle for Jackson, Mississippi. Please
yes,
fix
yes,
those people's
yes, yes,
water.
yes.
Some of the
Right?
guy, some of the guys brought water down there to them. I'm not exactly sure where, but Main C went out there and brought water to some area out there not too long ago. I remember
Okay,
he
well,
had
thanks, guys. We
yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah, Black
yeah.
Men United went down there and did some nice things too. But this is a continuous thing. They
Yeah.
need water every day. These
Hey,
people ain't even supposed to take no shower in that water. They need some
No,
water.
no, and it's bad. The bacteria and stuff, they need it.
Yeah, yeah, and these babies, man.
Yeah. So they just tells you where, but hey,
But you know what? Flint
Jackson,
had no water in 13 years.
get out and vote for who you want. You see that Tate is not doing anything for us. So if you want change, get him out of there.
Yes, get him out.
Get him
Get
out of
him
there.
out.
He's
Because
not
he
gonna do
ain't doing
anything for
nothing for them
us.
prisons either down there. Them
He's not
prisons
gonna do
struggling too.
anything.
They
That's
struggling too.
yeah, he's not gonna do anything for us. So
Yeah.
we know who we're dealing with. We know who we're dealing with. We dealt with them for years. Get rid of them. Vote.
Yeah, get rid of them.
The only way we're gonna do
Yep, that's the only way to apply pressure is with the vote.
Rock the vote. And that's the whole thing. You know, we be so big on not voting. Oh, it ain't gonna make no difference. Baby.
It does. It
makes
we
a
saw
difference.
made a difference. It changed Georgia.
Yeah, our vote counts. Our vote counts. You know, it's those. It go back to those preconceived notions. We got to change that old way of thinking and get forward moving and progressive, because that's the only way that things are going to change.
Don't believe the hype. They gonna
we
lie
have
to you
to be the change. We can't just keep talking the change. We have to be the change.
Right. All right, you guys, that wraps it up. Good show. Thanks everybody for tuning in to Get the Point. I enjoyed you guys. Great topic, great conversation. Until next time, this is Ray.
Shabazz.
Brother Marcus.
And Sister Honey.
And we'll get back with you guys. Thanks for
Peace and
tuning in.
love.
Have a blessed night.